All right, let's dive in. Today, we're going undercover with a new kind of AI. Think of it as a brilliant detective that has somehow learned to speak the very unique, very complex language of a modern factory. Now, you hear a question like that and you think, simple enough, right? It seems like something you should be able to look up in, 10 seconds. But in the real world, inside the incredible maze of a high-tech factory, a question this simple can be a real showstopper.
I'm not kidding. Hours. We're talking about a factory manager having to stop what they're doing, hunt down old manuals, track down an engineer who might know, dig through 5 different databases. It's an insane waste of time for a tiny piece of information. But, as you can see, that's all about to change.
So, let's set the scene for our mystery. Picture a factory floor, but instead of just making things, it's also a place where critical information is basically under lock and key, totally out of reach right when you need it the most. You see, the clues are literally everywhere, but it's an absolute mess. You've got these things called asset administration shells, which are basically digital passports for every single machine. Then you have your normal CSV files for product catalogs, and then there's this other format, RDF triples, which is used for web data. It's like having clues written in 5 different languages. Someone has to manually translate and piece it all together. It's a total data nightmare.
And this is where our hero shows up. To cut through all this chaos, a brilliant AI detective has been brought onto the case. It's called the HumAIne Semantic Interference System, and its whole job is to make sense of all this madness. Now, our detective has a secret weapon, and it's a technique called Retrieval Augmented Generation, or RAG for short. The idea is actually pretty simple, but it's incredibly powerful. Instead of just making an educated guess, the AI first goes out and retrieves the cold, hard facts from its knowledge base. It finds the proof. And only then does it put together an answer, making sure everything it says is 100% grounded in reality.
So how does our AI detective actually crack the case? Let's follow it step by step and see exactly how it gets from that one simple question to a precise, factual answer. Okay, so this right here is the whole investigation mapped out. And I know what you're thinking. That looks complicated. But trust me, when you break it down, it's a super logical process. We're about to walk through it in 3 simple stages. Here's the heart of it. First, the detective gets a hunch. It does a really fast scan of everything it knows to find documents that just feel right, the ones that seem related to the question. Next, and this is crucial, comes the fact check. A much more precise tool goes through those initial clues and re-ranks them, really zeroing in on the most relevant facts. This step alone makes the results 15 to 25% better. And finally, the detective writes its report, using a large language model to just give you the answer in plain, simple English.
And our detective has another trick up its sleeve to work even faster. It uses a kind of special dictionary to compress all the evidence it finds, shrinking the data by a whopping 30 to 60%. This means it can stuff way more relevant context into its AI brain at once without getting overwhelmed. Super clever.
But of course, no detective can solve a case if all their evidence is just thrown in a messy pile, right? So before any investigation can even start, the AI has to build its evidence room. It has to take all that raw, chaotic data and get it organized.
And that process is all about creating order out of chaos. You can see it here. On the left, you've got all these messy, separate data files pouring in. But the system takes them and transforms them into what you see on the right, this beautifully organized, interconnected web of knowledge. It's what's called a graph database, where every single piece of information knows how it relates to everything else.
And what's so important here is that the system is not a picky eater. It doesn't care what format the data comes in. It understands the official Industry 4.0 standard, known as AAS, for describing what a machine can do. It can read simple tabular data from a product catalog, and it can process those data triples we talked about, the ones that help build those powerful knowledge webs. It just handles it all.
Okay, so we've got our super smart detective and a perfectly organized evidence room. But what's the big deal? Why does this actually matter in the real world, on a real factory floor?
It matters because all of this incredible behind-the-scenes complexity you see here, it all gets hidden behind an incredibly simple interface. A manager on the floor doesn't need to know anything about graph databases or data ingestion. Nope, they just open up a chat window, type a question in plain English, and get an answer back. All the heavy lifting happens completely out of sight.
In this detective is a multi-talented specialist. It can handle all kinds of different cases. Simple counting, how many drills do we have? No problem. A direct comparison, which of these 2 drills is better? Easy. Finding that one tiny specification we started with, done. It can even figure out complex relationships, like which company makes these sauce. It's a true expert. And now for the big reveal, the moment of truth, the payoff for all this advanced AI work. Remember how this used to take hours of manual digging? Well, the time it takes for this entire, complex investigation to happen, from the moment you ask the question to the moment you get the answer, is just 2 to 4 seconds. That's it. And that kind of speed changes everything.
What we're really seeing here is an AI that has become a translator. It's translated the complex, silent language of machines into the simple, direct language of humans. And if we can teach an AI to become fluent in factory, you have to wonder, what other complex, specialized language will it master next? What other lockdown worlds of information is it about to open up for all of us?